Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics, Season 1, Episode 14, Yaesu FTM-500 discussion. I am joined by the unbelievable crew of TO and TheSmokinApe tonight. Jason was going to join us, but he had something else going on from 7 to 8 tonight. But all that means is when we see Jason at Hamvention, he's going to be having 3 of them and handing them out to us when we get there. So we're looking.
He owes us.
Right.
We are looking forward to that. What we're going to do is, I asked Steve and they didn't watch Jason's stream today, so I'm going to go over a few things from the stream just to kind of get you guys up to date, so you don't have to watch definitely watch it because there was some good Q&A there. But I'm going to give you kind of like a Reader's Digest version for some of the highlights that John had pointed out, and there was some good Q&A there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the graphic of the radio itself because there's actually quite a bit. I got that there. There's quite a bit I can show you just from this graphic here, which was pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and get that shared here.
So while Bill's doing that, I am running on emergency battery backup power. We got a power outage in the neighborhood.
That's a multiplier, right?
It is. So I get extra points. So I actually get 2 FTM-500s out of this deal.
Boy, yeah, I'll tell you what, he's hitting a home run on this. This is just incredible.
Oh yeah.
First thing I'm gonna say is one of the things that John pointed out was P4 on the mic is supposed to bring up the Weather Channel, and he said a lot of people thought it was a defect because it would bring up the Weather Channel and it was silent. Turn up the volume and we're hearing nothing. And he said the reason that happened was that the weather was set for emergency notification. Okay,
the weather alert was on.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one of the things that he had brought up. Let's see this.
So not a bug.
Not a bug. This button right here, and Jason said, what's this? Asked John what this button's for. Basically, say you're getting out of range of a repeater, or you're I was gonna say transaction. Your conversation's starting to get a little scratchy and stuff. That will boost your signal a little bit.
Which button is it?
This blue one right here. I don't know if you could see. It's between where it says PMG and VM.
I thought it was just a light. That's actually a button.
Oh, right above it, maybe.
I think it's above it, but yeah, that light
little tiny button.
Yeah, it's pretty tiny. When you push that'll boost it just a little bit. He didn't say a lot. He just said just a little bit, which I thought was real interesting. One of the big things that John talked about is, Jason said, "Oh yeah, there's some good ventilation down here." So he said, "That's not ventilation. There's a speaker in the head, and then there's a speaker in the body, and that you can adjust." I mean, it's almost like, and I don't want to say bass and treble, but what Yaesu would probably what I would refer to as bass and treble. John showed there's a couple of menus where you can adjust it for the head and you can adjust it for the body. You can also have a time delay of 20 milliseconds. So he said it sounds like a concert hall. You want to do that.
Yeah, I like that. So my the way that I have a Yaesu with a detachable face like that in my Jeep, it's an old one. It's a 7900, and the body is mounted underneath the passenger seat. And Jeeps are super noisy anyway, and it's definitely hard to hear. So now I have to take up other real estate for an external speaker. And I love the idea that head-based speaker system there. That would be perfect for me.
And he also talked about how there is, and I'm trying to remember how he described it, like on a ball and joint kind of a thing that you can mount the head onto, where it can be like totally flexible, like you can move it around at different angles and whatnot, which really sounds really cool. The head is actually pretty thick, and there's one of the things that John pointed out too. There's a jack for the microphone on the head and on the body itself. So
that's like the most important feature. That the speaker on the head and the microphone plug on the head are the 2 biggest selling points for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Is absolutely fantastic. Now, normally on you can have several different ways that you can actually dial your I'm trying to speak tonight. Dial your channels in. obviously it's touchscreen. Okay, so you can go ahead and touch and do that, and obviously you can go ahead and rotate the knob. But the other thing is, it will bring up, if you touch it, it will also bring up like a numeric kind of keypad on there, so you can actually punch your
Direct dial or whatever it's called.
yeah, direct dial your frequency in, which was real neat.
That's cool.
One of the other things that John talked about was, how you can flip between, channels on the two. And he said, what's real interesting, and he says, your muscle memory, when you want to go back and you want to make, you're doing some adjustments to the channel that you're on. He says, you're forced to look, you think you're at the one on the bottom or the one on the top, but you're really on the one on the bottom. So what Yaesu did, when you flip those, the one from the bottom goes to the top and the top one goes to the bottom, which is new. He said that they haven't done that before. And that's just to help improve your muscle memory, because a lot of people, are used to looking for the channel they're talking to up on top. So he said they went ahead and they made that change.
Whenever you're active, it's the top channel.
Exactly. And, and I said, that's okay. That's, that's pretty interesting. As far as availability is concerned, right now, I don't think anybody has them in stock. I think they're all out right now. I know
I'm sure
Engineering had a couple yesterday, but they were gone. HRO was out. Gigaparts was out. Main Trading was out. I checked Associated Radio, who I was telling Ape and TO about. They were out. So yeah, it's going to be a while before you're able to do it. And the one big thing, and one of the things that I wanted to get input on from Steve and from Ape, is the price on this. Okay, right now it retails for what is $646. I think.
Yeah,
wow.
I think so.
Is the retail on this, and it brings a lot to the table, but is it, are you getting the bang for your buck kind of a thing? Because I know there's been an explosion of comments, and the very first comment that I've seen out on Twitter is the price. What do you guys think?
You want to go first?
Oh man, put me on the spot. Yeah, I think that this is the really weird part about ham radio. This is probably the best, absolute hands down best 2-meter radio that you can buy on the market right now. That being said, I feel like it's missing about 7 or 8 different things that would make it worth that price.
HDMI out, right? I mean,
at least HDMI out. I mean, I'd want technically it's a mobile radio, so I'd want Android Auto, or I'd want USB-C, or I'd want a keyboard so I could do actual real APRS. And I mean, the APRS interface on these things is difficult, and I know APRS is a touchy topic these days, what with K8MRD's video that came out. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, where do you send people besides here?
Well, see, I agree with you, man. I think it is kind of the state of the art in terms of a mobile unit. And here's the thing is,
take about 20% off of that. It's the state of the art in terms of ham radio.
In terms of its competition.
Yeah.
Totally agree, and I think that it could use a couple other features, like if a keypad would be nice, or I'm not sure how well the Bluetooth connectivity is, but maybe if you had a Bluetooth app that you could do APRS with, would be pretty sweet. But I got to tell you, the things that it's missing aside, they're not going to keep these on the shelf, right?
No, they're not. So you got no choice.
Yeah. So the thing is that I think $650. While it's got some sticker shock to it, is a fair price for what you get. I mean, if I didn't have a mobile unit and I needed one, then I would buy it, and I wouldn't complain about it too much.
I mean, take this and compare it to the old FT-8800 or the 8900, even better. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, even compared to the 7900 they're running the Jeep, I really like this, and I like the I think is it the 6000 is the analog only one. It doesn't have If I was buying one, I really like the 6000, but it doesn't have the mic input on the head units. That means I have a cable problem, and I don't like cable problems.
It's tough.
Hayden saying no
Oh,
comparison to the 8900. It's missing two bands.
It is.
I think that the 10 meter. I know that it's FM only and all that. Is a ripoff on that thing. You know what I mean? Like I just think that that's an overselling point. It really isn't. It's like when some of these HTs people are like, oh, it's got APRS. Oh, but it really is one-way beaconing.
No, it's one-way beaconing, right?
you know what I mean? Like I just don't see it that way.
yeah. You guys bring up some good points, and one of the things that, and I want to touch on something that Ape talked about. It's the best game in town right now as far as mobile is concerned. All right. And that being said, yeah, it is, you get some sticker shock on this, but you soon overcome it because you realize it does have a pretty good feature set on it. Now,
It does.
Andy's saying compared to the price of the 5100A, and I don't even know what that sells for, so I'm looking it up.
Yeah, you got yours on a steal, brother.
So that's $450 for that. Yeah, I traded a G90 for mine, and I also got a QDX in that as well.
Nice.
That's good. That's a good steal. I know your partner FEP Labs. He said the 400 has a bigger screen.
Yes.
Which it does, and that's true. And for me, and I'm going to say this, because I've also seen this comment too, because I don't have a mobile radio yet. Okay, I'm waiting.
Oh my God, Tio, let's go. I didn't know that before we got here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting to get my next vehicle, which won't be a lease because I'm currently on a lease right now. I don't want to put something in and have it to take it out because the next one's going to be the car I'm going to have for at least 10 years. So
Right.
I'm gonna be
Having a car for 10 years, what's that like?
Yeah, really, yeah.
I live in the Salt Belt.
Yeah, I'm kind of crossing my fingers on that one. Seeing if that will pair out. But no, that's what my plan is for that. Just seeing some more of the comments here. Also, I want to let people know. So people asked about Steve sounding like in the 1990s. He has a power outage right now, and he's off his phone. So just want to let you guys know that. Just I'm
still here because a real ham shows up.
You should have your yellow vest on, Gio.
I should. I got my UV5R though. I mean, I'm good to go.
But you're safe. Now you're safe.
Yes.
Just in case there's any M comments.
Mark's safe from power outages today. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, so the body of this radio, would anybody complain if the body of this radio was an inch and a half, 2 inches thicker? I'm talking like 706 FTM-100 size. Would anybody complain about that?
Well, I would just want to make sure that I can get it under the seat, right? And because I think most people probably mount these under a seat or
you're
in
not driving
trunk,
a sports
right?
car. You're fine.
Yeah, I should be.
I ain't
fine.
seeing you in a Miata anytime soon, son.
Nope, I don't see me in one either.
Well, yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about this is I've already seen some people. Obviously, they've been busy with their 3D printers and have printed some cup holders for like holding the head already, which I thought was real interesting. And a lot of creativity as far as that's concerned. So, but yeah, it's I think it's going to do what I think is going to happen is this. Okay, I think you're going to get a lot of initial sales maybe the first month or so, and it may calm down for a while. And then I think that's when some other people will pull back and say, well, you know what? I want to see when T.O. gets one. I want to see his review. I want to see when Ape gets one, see his review. I want to see Jason. I want to see his review, and kind of, get a lay of the land. Because, one of the things for me
Exactly
is, as far as a mobile radio is concerned, and one of my primary criteria is I want to set it and forget it. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you guys know, I mean, and I'm going to tell you this is the worst state in the world to drive in, Florida. Okay. I'm serious. It's Mad Max Thunderdome every day. That's what my wife calls our interstate bias.
Well, you got all those people on meth down there, right? I mean, that's a.
No. Hey, wait a minute. Wisconsin is the meth capital of the United States. Don't be taking that away from me. No.
Well, I'm Lakeland, Florida, where I work for public supermarkets. that was known at one time as the meth capital of the world. It really was. Seriously. And
Oh,
when I
glad we
walked,
took that from you. We saved
I
you.
used, I used to walk into work from the auxiliary lot, and there's a halfway house about 2 blocks from my job site, from our job building. And you'd see they'd let everybody out like at 7 a.m. and they're all walking in a parking lot panhandling and trying to get $20. It's like, oh yeah, but neither here nor there. But no, as far as I want to get a radio that I'm going to set it and forget it, okay? And I want to have a radio that's going to have, and see, this is the big knock, is this how they call these banks of memory, and they do that here. Why didn't they just put like a normal memory in this? It just kind of boggles my mind. It just, because I want to hit a couple of buttons and boom, I want to go to my favorite, one of my favorite channels, and I don't want to have to fumble around. I don't want to have to go to a bank of memory to find it. I want to get it like right away. Boom.
Well, when you get these radios, they're always a little intimidating because of the feature set and the stuff's
Yeah.
on there that's new. But it'll be old hat by the time. Like what you're going to be saying when we're here next time. I wish this thing had an extra bank in it because I.
Yeah. We all will. It'll be like, oh, that's fine, that's no problem. I've gotten used to it, kind of a thing. And that normally that kind of is what happens with this, okay? Because when something's new, you're gonna get a lot of initial feedback and pushback right away.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, for drones. It's the same thing for other things. It's just like you get this immediate pushback, but yet you see, it's like, okay, when a new smartphone comes out, all right, it's like, well, what's that got on it, and then you see they're out of stock right now, can't get it for 2 weeks, and same thing with this. So everybody's still buying them up anyway. But yeah, I'm of the opinion that I think after a month and after people take a look at it and some, like you guys get a hold of one and review it, Jason gets a hold of one, Josh, and everybody, that's when the rubber hits the road, because it's
Right.
real people getting these and putting them into practice. And one of the things I like about, I want to call it the ham radio world versus like the drone world. Now, with the drone world, the manufacturer, normally like DJI, they will send drones to like the top reviewers, the ones that usually have over 100K subscribers or hit a certain market. All right. But they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and you're pretty much going to be screwed if you say anything bad about that drone. Okay. They're not going to send you another one. So of course you're going to have glowing reviews. Okay. And this is what I like about ham radio. Okay. So I know when Jason will get one, Gigaparts will loan it to him, or, Josh will get ham radio outlet, will loan something to him. And, that way it's kind of a more unbiased kind of a review. And I think that's important. I think that's one of the things that's going to be important about this is to watch those reviews.
Yeah,
If I didn't
think
have a
you're right.
radio like this, I mean, where would you start if you didn't have a 2-meter radio? I mean, it's the 6000 or it's this. These are your big choices right now.
Well, see, yeah, when I got my 7900, they had just discontinued them, and it was on sale, and I think I paid about $200 for it. And I think I've had it 7 years, maybe 8 years, something like that. And so I think a new ham would be intimidated by a radio like this. I think one, it'd have sticker shock. And
Yes.
you'd probably see somebody buying like a Retevis RT95. I hear they have a really powerful circuit protection on the front end too. I don't know if you heard that or not. But
They do, yeah. Unless you're like an experimenter, like on the cutting edge, like I am. I can get any vehicle stuck and unstuck. I can get any piece of electronics burnt and
you
unburnt.
can smoke them.
I have a very particular set of skills.
But if I was talking to my neighbor and he's like, "Hey, all of a sudden I'm getting my ham license. I need something for my car," I wouldn't. I don't think I'd recommend. I'd probably recommend the 6000 just because of the price point and complexity of the radio.
Yeah, and see that you guys hit some good points here, especially for a new ham. This is not what I would recommend to a new ham. I mean, it'd be like, let's throw you from the fire into the frying pan. It's going to be way over your head. You're going to get confused. You're not going to understand it. And and right now, there's not that many people that know that much about this. I mean, there's a smattering of videos out on YouTube, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And, you're going to need to get, you guys and, and some of the other ones, like say like Michael Martin's, come in here and do a deep dive into this and look at some of the features. And, that's what I love about your channels and Jason and everybody. You may look at a certain part of this and a certain function
Right.
of this radio, and explain it thoroughly so people will understand it. I mean, well, one of the guys that one of the channels I just absolutely love. He used to be called Ham Cured Smoke. I forget what he's called now, but he did that series like 40, 50 videos on the 7300.
Yeah, ham radio A to Z. Yep, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
I like him.
that guy.
Yeah, he does a great job on that. And I think he did the 705 too. I mean, these are like staple bread and butter videos, and that's what I'm without a doubt usually get a question every day. I just bought a 7300. Any advice? And I'm saying here, A to Z, ham radio A to Z. Just here's the playlist. Just
Well,
watch it.
see, I think in a lot of these, even YouTube videos, but with a lot of these radios, like I remember when I got some of my first radios and I took them out of the box, and I'm like, well, what do I do now? Right. So a lot of people don't even know what questions to ask. And there was a guy in one of the Discords that was saying, hey, I'm going to buy an FTM, FT5D, the handheld. And I remember telling the guy, I was like, look, he didn't have a radio yet. That was going to be his first radio. And I was like, go buy a $25 Baofeng and find out if you like it and learn a little bit about radio, because the guy didn't know about repeater offset. He didn't know about PL tones. He didn't know about anything really. And he's like, no, I'm a smart guy. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to buy this radio. And he bought it. 3 days later, he had it for sale in the marketplace on the Discord. And, I wasn't going to be like, I told you, boy. But the thing is that
you were really thinking you wanted to.
I did, because the thing is, you could see it coming a mile away.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of folks run into. Like when I got the 7900, I remember thinking, well, what am I going to do? Fortunately, it had chirp support, and I was able to hook it up and figure it out. But something with like digital mode and extra features that are new on the market that nobody's played with yet is a daunting task for somebody who's just getting licensed.
Oh, and one of the things that John also brought up today, I wanted to mention, there's no programming currently available for it. So, so you got to program everything manually, which, I mean, that's neither here nor there. Guys that have had experience like you guys and I, that's not something that's going to be insurmountable. But yet, I went out there and I started poking around the manual out there, and I'm like, whoa, okay. It's a Yaesu, okay. I mean, trust me, I love Yaesu. I love ICOM. I share no, ill will toward either one. But I'll tell you what, the menu system on a Yaesu, I tell my wife it pays that I've been in the profession I've been in IT, because I think logically, and that's what you try to do, is to follow these books logically and to go through that. So that's just one of those things. The other thing that I'm waiting for is those nifty radio guides, because those things, when I first started out, I'll tell you what, it's just like that thing. I had to buy a second one. Because that thing, I wore that thing out the first time around. Those are good. Those are good reference resources.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the the thing is that like RT Systems will have software out for this thing.
Oh yeah.
With it soon. And I don't know how Chirp is going to be with it. They did that. I know you have Chirp for the FT70. I don't know about the FT3 or 5. They sometimes shy away from the digital radio, so I don't know if they'll have something for this. But RT Systems is like $30, right? I mean,
yeah, it's reasonable. It's very reasonable. And what's nice is now, what used to be, you used to have to wait for a disc, but now it's all down. You can download them now, which is great. Yeah. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this all pans out. I'm sure we'll be hearing and seeing a lot of this when we head to Dayton in a couple of weeks. A lot of people, it's going to be a lot. Well, I bet, if you went there, it's just, I would bet that probably HRO is going to have some, DX Engineering is going to have some, Gigaparts is going to have some, some of the ones that'll end up being there. you'll be able to buy one if you want to get this. One of the other things that some people asked that I was curious on too, it's always like, what kind of an antenna, that's one of the first questions I get when people are asking me questions about a new radio. What kind of antenna would you get with this, Bill? And I'm like, okay, well, the sky's kind of the limit. Obviously, this is a mobile radio, so you're going to want to get one that's going to work on your vehicle, and it all depends on the kind of vehicle you have. If you got a pickup truck, you're going to get a different antenna from somebody that has an SUV, or somebody that has a sedan. I mean, it's going to be totally different.
I have a Comet SBB5, so it's a 5/8 wavelength on 2 meters. I don't know what it is on 70 centimeters. And I paid like $100 for it. It's one of the best things that I bought for amateur radio, and I have it lip mounted on the hood of my Jeep. And I had it on the car that I had previous to the Jeep, and it's a fantastic. I use the Diamond. Is it Diamond? Yeah, Diamond K400 lip mount, which is, again, I would recommend that for anybody. I messed around with all kinds of mounting systems before that, and I've had that forever, and it looks brand new. And that's what I would use with this. It would be that SBB5.
Yeah, I've seen that, and you really hit a real good point, because that's not a hugely expensive antenna, but yet it does it does its job, and it does a great job. I know a lot of people that have them.
Yeah, I wanted to put a stationary antenna up at the house, and I almost got another one and mounted it out back. And I was like, it works so great. Why wouldn't I? But I didn't. I ended up going with the Comet GP. I think it's the GP1.
Yeah,
it might be the GP3 or something like that. But it's a Comet. It's like a white PVC sleeve.
Yeah. Now
I don't know, man. Weren't you talking about the Jankopotamus, the crap top, the $50 ham radio laptop not being good enough? You're spending $650 on a radio. You got to spend at least $1,000 on an antenna, right?
Right. You're spending 1.5 times the cost of the radio on your antenna system.
At least. So you need a 60-foot mast with a 17-element beam Yagi pointed off into the right direction with a rotator. Let's be realistic here.
Yeah, I need an omnidirectional beam. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, how all this pans out. And one of the things I'm just it's just some of the features like Steve mentioned early on that they could have put into this, and it kind of boggles my mind, because I really wish that radio manufacturers, in particular, especially Yaesu and ICOM, would listen to us, because they go by a lot of times, for example, and I think it's part of the nature of the beast is they're both located in Japan. Okay, so they kind of gear their radios primarily towards the home market. All right, and North America and Europe and Asia and Australia are secondary compared to their home market. And if they would listen to some people and listen to some feedback on some things, they could have added, maybe 2 or 3 of the things that Steve had mentioned on here, and it would, and you know what, people would have paid $800 for it, okay, because it would have had a very rich feature set that really you couldn't find in another mobile radio.
Yeah, I wonder what the cutoff on the price is. I mean, the thing is, if there's value in it, I think that it's okay to run the price up. But see, I suspect that some of these radios, not this one, maybe some of the features, but there's going to be stuff on there that I'd probably never use. You know what I mean? And then
yeah,
I wouldn't want to pay for that. If that's why the 6000 so attractive to me is that I would likely use all of that.
Stirring the pot in the chat about APRS.
They're getting all whipped up. For the record, and I've been saying this for a long time, I don't really see a strong practical use for APRS, other than if you were the type of person who went out and did dangerous stuff in the woods. But even then, I would suggest using like something with like an Iridium network pager or something like that. It's a little bit more reliable than ham radio. I know when all else fails, there's ham radio, but I think that some of those things like the InReach Explorer or some of the Garmin's are probably a better option for that.
You're probably right, and that's a good point, because a lot of people, look at it and as far as going out and you're lost in the woods and everything, that would come in handy. But you want to have something that's real reliable, maybe. Also,
Well, you want something that you can pull a pin on, right? And get the help
Exactly.
that you need. Like, you don't want to be like, well, let me get out my Baofeng, and then I have this sweet USB adapter that I wired, and get my Android tablet out. That's what I don't understand. People are like, I trust my life with APRS, boy. And, then their setup is, I've got 16 cables that I got to plug in, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah. You want something that's going to work when you're out. If you're out hiking, or let's say you're doing a soda, and something happens, and they need to know where you're at. You want to have something instant. You don't want to have to fumble around through your backpack and try to find something, get it set up, get everything hooked up. Garmin has a lot of stuff with that too. Iridium, they have some great products as well. So yeah, that the point's well taken. But I mean, it's kind of it's a gimmick. I mean, it's like my dad would say about when cars would come out. Okay, he would always tell me, they would add. He would call it not an option. He'd call it a gimmick. Okay, when
Yep.
and get people to buy another car. One of his things was, this was I'll really date myself here. He said, "Yeah, have an FM radio in a car. That's a gimmick, Bill." I'm like, yeah, this is
Well, yeah, they used to talk about 5-mile-per-hour bumpers, but I grew up in the era where that was like advertised like crazy. 5-mile-per-hour bumpers, 5 mile per hour, and what it turned out was it was a federal regulation.
yeah,
Right.
They had no choice, but they were selling it as a feature. It's like putting organic on the label of a product. Yep,
Yeah.
sure is.
Well,
Or vegan.
I saw an advertisement for a drill, and they were like, it has a brushless motor. And the thing
Yeah.
is that they all have brushless motors. So like, that's just a design. It's like it runs off of AC power. And they say that a lot of these marketing companies just take regular design specs and then trump them up into a feature or something like that.
That's what you got to do, man.
Right. Imminent storm.
Yeah. Well, I see that all.
Village threatened by deadly storm.
Right.
I see that all the time. On the drone channel, where they trump up these things, and it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And some of the less expensive drones, like the under $300 drones, I had a couple of them, and they would toilet bowl on me, meaning they would like to be doing this all over the place. And a couple of them just decided to pancake and turn upside down, and I'm just sitting there and I'm not doing a darn thing. And feature rich, and you'll see the advertisements that you get from it, and they'll say brushless motors, and I'm like, well, it really doesn't mean a whole lot if it can't hold a stable level flight. I mean,
You want to be serious about brushless motors for a second? It really, truly, 100% is a marketing ploy. They are motors that have brushes that are non-user replaceable, so therefore they call them brushless. They still have brushes in them. You just can't service them. When the brushes expire, you throw the thing away. It's total hype.
Oh yeah. A lot of people don't know that. They'll fall for it every time.
Liberty Cave is obviously a fan of APRS. He's talking about how boats use it and weather balloons and all that. I'm talking about the ham who is working the safety booth at the neighborhood 5K. You know what I mean? And he's out there like, I've got my beacon on, so everybody knows that I'm at the safety booth, and all that kind of stuff. That's where I'm saying I just think it's silly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I will take it one step farther. APRS is extremely misunderstood, and that is created by manufacturers that make radios that have built-in beaconing only. It's so much more than just plain old positioning reporting. It's extremely tactical if you know what you're doing. And I hate to use the word tactical in the tacti-cool sense, but I can send an APRS message and I can get the local weather. I can send an APRS message and it's just like a text message over a cell phone. Or I can beacon my position out all day long and people know where I am. And I'm not interested in people knowing where I am. Like it's a very simple data messaging protocol that's extremely lightweight. And what you can do with it is where the imagination comes in, and that's what you need to pick up.
Yeah. Clinton's question here is a new ham. I'd lean towards something more affordable. How does the 6000 compare?
Well, 6000 is a dual band radio, so it does 2 meter and 70 centimeter. I believe it has some of the same banks that the memory banks organization that the new one has. Don't 100% quote me on that. You obviously have to do a little bit of research there, but it doesn't do the Yaesu system fusion, the YSF portion. And if that's important to you, then you're going to have to get the new radio. But if it isn't, it depends on where you live. So like where I live, we had all analog repeaters when I got into amateur radio. But over the years, many of them have converted into YSF. And some of them have like split the traffic between analog and YSF, so you can still communicate. But a lot of them have gone purely digital, and then those repeaters are not available to folks. So with a radio like that, you're really going to spend most of your time talking on repeaters along your commute or close to your home or something like that.
And there's nothing wrong with the 6000. And if you wanted to do digital modes, like APRS as an example, the 6000 is a fantastic radio for that. It's got a data port on the back of it. You hook up an off-the-shelf TNC device to it, and away you go. No problems there. But is it worth an extra $350 to get the 500? It's kind of up to you. It's kind of up to what your use case is.
Yeah, totally agree.
And also too, how long you've been a ham, because
right.
if you've just gotten into it, no, that you're gonna you will see, this is the kind of thing, and you guys touched on it. Getting this in the hands of a new ham, if they spend enough time with it, they'll probably figure it out. But the other thing is, it could turn them off so much. They say, you know what, I'm just gonna sell it and be done with ham radio, because this is just way. If this is what ham radio is like, forget it.
Right. It's not for me, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Like I do have a friend who was like, "Hey, you always talk about ham radio and it sounds cool. I want to get into it." And I told him no, because he's one of these guys that gets into a bunch of stuff and never sticks to it. Doesn't spend any time. Won't read a book. Won't look at a manual. He definitely won't put the effort in. And I told him that to his face. I was like, "Look, son, we both know you're not going to do it. You're going to give up." Like he would go buy like the most expensive camera he could find. And then a couple of days like, I don't know, that camera's hard to figure out. It's difficult to use, and then you'd be selling it and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, amateur radio, trust me, because I don't know how y'all feel, but to me, it's headache after headache after headache, because I always want to do something which requires 15-step procedure.
Yeah, you gotta, you want to, you get out what you put into it. Okay.
Totally agree.
You got to spend time, there's going to be no substitute. Like when this first comes out, if you want to get it, you want to be one of the early adopters of it. You'll be one of the pioneers, because go ahead and do a search on YouTube right now. You're not going to find a lot out there. I mean, you'll find out videos like us talking about it, or like Jason's video from lunchtime today. But you're not going to see a lot of nuts and bolts kind of videos like Ham Radio A to Z. This is how the menu works. This is how you program the weather. This is how, just on and on and on and on and on. It's not out there. So,
he made those videos, I think, in like 2019 is when he started doing those. The 7300 had been out since 2016, right? So the radio had been out for 3 years before he made those videos. That's probably my wife looking for me.
Yeah, probably.
What do you want for dinner, Ape?
Is Ape at your house?
Just tell her, I don't know, honey, what do you want? And that'll go on. You could do that forever.
Right.
Well, it was funny. Last night I had one of the better drone reviewers on. He had forgotten that he was out on a shoot, and so he did it from his car on a cell phone. He did my show last night on his cell phone from a car, and it was just so. But it was good. I mean, it worked. It worked really well. I mean, he had enough battery power. Used the light from the car and could see him, and that that worked real well last night for him. But that was funny. That was funny.
That's like a TO move. He's called in the Coffee and Ham radios from the car while driving all over the country.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
So we'll just kind of wrap things up here a little bit. I mean, we talked a pretty good amount about this. One of the things I take it. I know, Steve, you're going to Hamvention, right?
I am actually not. I'm going to have to do a little turn and burn. I'm going to be down Wednesday night and leaving Thursday morning. I got to see a couple of people that are there and meet up with a couple of vendors and stuff like that. And then I'm out the door. My daughter is graduating from high school. My youngest is graduating from high school that Friday. And logistically, no sense whatsoever to leave Friday morning, drive all the way back to Wisconsin to see graduation, and then spend the night up here, drive all the way back Saturday to get there at like Saturday night. So
Yeah.
no hamvention this year.
Well, that's a worthy cause. I mean, that's all I can say.
Oh, for sure.
Ape, you going to be there?
It's still a game time decision. So we have a big family event on Friday night, and then my daughter graduates from college on that Monday. And then
Wow.
the way her college works is that they actually have two graduations. They have a graduation for the entire class, like the entire, I guess, graduating class, and then they have each one for each school. So it's gonna. I gotta figure all that kind of stuff out. And then the $2,000 refrigerator I was telling you about that I had to buy today doesn't help the cause.
Yeah, that throws a real wrench into the works as far as that's concerned. Ouch.
It does.
That's a real ouch. But yeah, I'm going to be there. I know. I talked to Anthony, NAVOX. He's going to be there. I know Jason is going to be there. Frank's going to be there. I know Josh is going to be there. So several others.
There'll be plenty of folks there to say hi to. I'm sure that.
Yeah, there will be plenty there. So Steve, congratulations to your daughter. Abe, congratulations to your daughter as well.
Thank you.
Those are incredible accomplishments, both of them, each of their own right, and I can tell you that. I mean, I've been through both. Seeing my kids graduate from high schools and seeing my kids graduate from college. So it kind of dates yourself. When you've had a child graduate not only high school but college, it's kind of like, oh wow. Oh
no, I know I'm old.
That's another
You are.
notch
You
in
are.
the belt, kind of a thing. So
Remember when notches in the belt meant something different?
Right. Well, that means you
My
got a bad
notches in the
hip.
belt are graduating.
It means you got a bad hip.
yeah, time
See you,
goes on.
Janice.
And it's always
See you,
it's always a good thing. And family always comes first. That's what I when I started my drone channel. I told him, I said, look, if there's some nights I'm not going to be on, it'll be because family's coming first. Okay, that's
Sure.
the number one reason. And same thing here. Family always comes first before these events. Your followers are going to follow you whether or not you go to Hamvention or not this year. And
I don't know. A lot of them seem to be pretty mad that I reviewed something that looked like a CB.
Oh yeah, I saw those comments today. I'm like, my gosh! But I got to say this, okay? that radio was a spinning image of my dad's Cobra that he had.
That's the point right there, brother. That is the thing.
Yep.
That's what everybody's like. They're like, "Are you sure that that's not a Cobra?" Like, I'm pretty sure.
Reminds me of my radio that my granddad introduced me and got me hooked on the hobby in. I mean, that's what really is important about it. I mean, like, where else is a new kid going to go?
Well, I got to tell you, everybody gets worked up. They're like, "That's got an echo button on there. I can't believe that's an echo button." And I was like, "Is it really? That's what that's the trigger. That's the thing that upsets you the most is the trigger."
It's like what? It's $199, man. Stop whining.
It's like a toy, right? I mean,
what else are you going to get for $199? A Zygu G106? Nope. Sorry, that's $300.
Well, it's nice seeing you guys getting that and putting it through its paces, and we'll look forward to seeing more videos from you guys on that. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out because it's an alternative. It's an option. It's another option on the table. And I got to give the one thing I'll say about Radio Oddity. I got to give them a little bit of credit because they come out and they're trying. Okay, they're with the T. Although
well, the thing is, what I don't get it's so enraging to people. Like years ago, I would always joke around and say that I was studying for my GMRS test and I hadn't passed it yet. And everybody's like, "Oh, GMRS, ham radio is where it's at," and people would get constantly rake on it. GRS has boomed in that time frame. It's become one of the more prolific modes or services that you can be on, and then now everybody's tripping over themselves to publish GMRS videos. I just don't get it. Like I think you and I are pretty much aligned. Like we're brothers in RF. Like we don't care what it is. We like playing with radios, and we're gonna mess around with whatever kind of radios that happen to be the soup du jour of the day, right?
Exactly.
it's interesting when you see the comments like on your video today, Abe. I was like, I'm like, okay, this was cool, and I'm ready to hear you say when you're doing your radio check, saying I'm ready to hear breaker, good buddy. Um, just one of those kind of things. But no, I mean it's a throwback, and I think it's kind of a good thing. And you explained it well how it works, and I'm anxious to see what it's like in real world use. I mean, if it pans out, it might be having a place in my shack.
Well, that's the thing is like people wouldn't know if somebody wasn't talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of owe it to the community stuff to say, hey, here's another radio that's come out. Here's an option. But it's the same thing with the Yaesu, and that's kind of really what the show's about. Is that there's so much paradigm thinking, and I read on a forum that so and so said this, that people, when something comes out, they instantly assume that because they're such experts, that they know everything there is to know about that radio. It doesn't matter which one it is, and then they just make these decisions or statements that sometimes make them look a little silly.
They're there for my entertainment, right?
Yeah, it's like where would it be? Okay, the whole focus is obviously we're here to talk about the 500, but it in general, where would we be without you guys doing things like when the 6100 came out and Steve did just a total deep dive and immersed himself in that,
right?
And with this new one from Radio Oddity, you guys going full on into this as well. I mean, this is the exciting part of ham radio, because as T.O. told me when I had him on, a hobby of 1,000 hobbies. I mean,
right.
You can go in 1,000 different directions with this, and who knows how that 10-meter radio is going to turn out. I mean, I'm excited for it, and if it does do well, it's going to be a real hit.
Well, like T.O. with the 6100 was like the ham cured smoke with the 7300, except for it was the 6100, right? Like that exposed that radio to hundreds, if not thousands, of people who might not have gotten exposed to that. And while it's not everybody's radio of choice, there's tons of hams out there that do use it and they love it, right? And a big piece of that is what he did by putting out, what was it, 70 plus videos, T.O.? How many?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I needed to pay that radio back, man. I needed to earn that money in.
Well, 70 some videos. I think 65 of them were firmware updates, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's kind of it's doing a service to the service, I guess is the right way to say it.
Yeah, that's what we're here for, and I think that's one of the things, and I think you two would agree with me. We're not in it for the bucks, although getting some bucks in isn't bad. But we're, the great satisfaction I get out of not only this, but like my drone channel is when I can answer questions for people, when I can engage them, when they say, what, Bill, that video was so helpful, that really made a difference. Thank you for putting it out.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great when you help somebody out.
And for example, I have an evergreen video on you guys have the Osmo Action camera by DJI. It's like a GoPro. Okay,
I've got one.
All right. Well, there's a trick on putting the door back on when the door falls off, and I found it. And it was the same way. It's the same exact design that GoPro did. So I put a video out about it. I have over probably about 3,000 or 4,000 comments on there. I don't know how many thousands of likes on there. And I put this thing out like 3 years ago. It's evergreen. People just say, thank you. You saved me from throwing this across the room and busting it up. Getting so frustrated with it. So, I like it when we can do a service to other people. I think it's fantastic.
Right. When you're paying it forward, because I guarantee that all of us have had something we couldn't figure out, went and got it on YouTube, figured it out through the help of somebody's video, and then we're able to use whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks so much for stopping by tonight.
Anytime,
everybody in the chat, and T.O. and Abe, thanks again. Wishing your daughters the best, you guys the best too, as you move along life's journey here. So, want to thank everybody for stopping by in the chat.
Hey, the power just came back on. Thanks, Bill.
There we go, magic. How about that? We do it all. We do it all here, guys. Everybody, 7-3s to everybody. Have a great rest of your evening. See you later.
Thanks, chat, to folks in the chat.